I want to welcome everybody to a special audio Iowa episode of LK for Everyone. That's LK, the number 4, EVRY, the number 1. And we want to thank, of course, our host site, American Greatness, in studio for this emergency discussion on caucuses.
It was a great show, by the way, Emergency.
It was a great show,
51.
yes.
Don't remember it.
John and Roy.
Lauren Green?
Jack Webb.
1951?
No.
1970.
Larry!
1970. It was. He recently died, I think, the guy from Emergency. Anyways, listen, come on. I want to welcome
Randolph
everybody.
Mantooth.
I want to welcome everybody to LK for Everyone. We're here with our budsman, the great Louis Fine, and of course, Larry Klayman.
The mortician.
The mortician, Larry Klayman.
No, Louis Fine.
The mortician, Louis Fine.
The
And
eulogist. I'm the eulogist.
and
He's the great.
Well, it could be worse. You might be a urologist.
and the lawyer
Right.
for everyone. Guys, let's talk about Iowa caucuses. Larry, you're the elder statesman in the room. Just so I could understand, maybe you don't even know, but I'm sure Louis does, but I'll give you the first crack at this. What exactly is a caucus?
Caucus is a bunch of people getting together and deciding what they want to do. It's not a primary. And actually, no one really knows what a caucus is.
I mean, seriously, Louis, you're a pretty bright guy. I mean, did you understand?
Comparatively speaking.
Comparatively speaking, do you?
It's probably one of the most anti-democratic means of anointing a winner.
It doesn't go by the popular vote.
People physically gather in their various meeting halls and
Their
precincts,
caucus halls.
right? And the Sanders people gather in one part of the room, the Warren people gather in another part of the room, and on, and you do a tally, and then there's a second round where you try to persuade people to physically move to the other side of the room and to your camp, and then another tally's done, and in the middle of the night, after everyone's gone to bed, a winner for each party, if both parties are contending in that year, is announced until the next day when the real winner is announced, as was the case in 2012 when Mitt Romney, quote unquote, won the Iowa caucus, only for the media the next day to say, well, Rick Santorum won, but all the momentum already had been in Romney's favor.
Backing up a little bit, the Iowa caucus rarely determines who wins the primary. I mean, usually it's an anomaly of who gets the victory. For instance, I like Michelle Bachmann a lot. She won, but she didn't do anything after that.
She didn't win the Iowa caucus.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't.
Larry,
no, she didn't. In 2012.
Well, she won something.
Santorum won in 2012.
No,
Michelle Bachmann did win something.
In 2008, I believe it was Huckabee who won the Iowa caucus.
Yeah.
Now, the only one who recently won the Iowa caucus and then won the nomination and the presidency was Barack Obama.
One second. I think Trump won the Iowa caucus, too.
No. Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucus.
Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucus? You
Yeah,
see, look, that's why you're the young
it's
buzzman.
basically meaningless, but let's talk about what happened here. Is that you have a bunch of Bolsheviks there. I mean, we know that communism never worked. We know that they don't know how to govern a country. They know that every time there's been a communist leadership somewhere, it's collapsed. Well, Iowa just collapsed last night. And it's poetic justice. You've got these communists running around now claiming victory. Joe Biden basically is toast. I think it's over for him. It will have an effect on him.
No, I sort of love this whole thing because, you know what? I mean, for 4 years, obviously, we've been hearing about Russian interference in the elections. We've been hearing about Trump's going to ruin the 2020 election for the past week and a half by
He's never going to leave the White House.
He's never going to leave the White House, right? He's just going to be there for the next 50 years, you know? And
well, he might be.
And it's the Democrats that have managed to mess up their first election. The irony, the trolling I want to do of these intelligentsia, of these humongous intellectuals, I mean, that can't get an app right.
The branding executives who decided our app that will tabulate the results will be named in the spirit of this caucus and transparency, openness, and democracy, Shadow. And the parent organization responsible for the app will be named Acronym.
Yeah.
These are the branding and marketing geniuses who sat down and said, of all the names we can think of, vote.
Well, you know,
Power,
this
liberty,
is very appropriate
freedom,
for
will
Iowa.
do, shadow.
This is very appropriate for Iowa, and I don't mean to disparage pigs because my family was in the pork business. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for pigs, okay? But you can't put lipstick on a pig, okay? And that's what you have out there. Iowa, you know, it's a big pork-raising state. But, I mean, these candidates were so flawed. The Democratic Party is so screwed up.
Yeah.
Look at this guy Perez, who's the DNC chairman. I mean, what a low-life idiot this guy is, frankly. And they got what they deserved.
See, but here's my thing, and you know, I often go supermarket shopping, and I go to the self-checkout counter, right? And that's how I judge humanity, is at the self-checkout counter, because for the most part, most people can't figure out how to self-checkout.
Do you know how filthy that self-checkout counter must be?
It's probably gross, but it's like I love watching people's look, like, did this scan, did this not scan, and I'm always like, these are the people that, for the most part, shouldn't be using the self-checkout.
Are they the ones with paper coupons?
Yes.
And then they need the manager to come?
That's exactly right. And they can't figure out how many bags and this and that. Neither here nor there. They expected people to know how to vote on an app, right? It's a whole, you know, listen, I love
Which defeats the purpose of a caucus.
It defeats
We're supposed to negotiate and persuade.
And in Iowa, there are a lot of farmers, rural people. I mean, they're not, technologically inclined, you know.
As the child of farmers, I would like to say at this point, I have no formal affiliation with this show, and all my food is homegrown. I live off the grid. I can't be found, and I love Iowa.
I love farmers. I love ranchers. Okay, I represent ranchers. Okay, if it wasn't for farmers, my family wouldn't have been able to get pigs and kill them and make them into pork chops.
This isn't, by the way, just so you know, this isn't a knock. When we're not doing the show in Rio de Janeiro, and we're in West Hollywood or wherever it is that we live, and we're shopping, it's people in West Hollywood that I notice can't use the self-checkout. This idea that everybody knows how to use an app. People didn't even know how to log into this app.
In defense of the people,
Yeah.
It's not the people who failed. The app failed.
Yes.
If you keep pressing the button and it doesn't do anything,
Yeah.
the fault is not yours.
Well, we've learned our lesson from the past. My state of Florida, you know, with the electronic voting system, hanging chads, everything else failed, and we continue to do the same thing over and over again. The best way is the old-fashioned way, with a ballot that you check off.
I agree. Why are people so heavy? I mean, I sort of enjoy doing that. I sort of enjoy going into the voting booth and, you know, clicking the pen down on the person I want. In Los Angeles, it's really confusing because we have all the props that you have to vote on and all these
Well,
stupid,
not only
silly
that,
things.
You just go no.
In Florida, you
Yeah, that's
37
why.
pages.
in Florida you punch it, but they also scan it, so they've got a backup on that. Now, you know, in California, I mean, it's a shit show. That's what it is, in effect. Excuse the French. But you can vote 3 times in California. They'll send you one by the mail. You go in there to a voting booth. They'll ask you if you want to vote in the machine or whether you want to do another manual ballot. You can vote 3 times.
Is this a Lowry theory or is this actually
No,
true?
I have friends that have gone in.
Oh.
I've watched them vote. I mean, and they don't pay attention.
Yeah.
The voting people.
I just, you know what, I feel, you know, people are saying, oh, I feel bad for the Iowans. I don't feel bad for any of them. If this is who you choose, if this is, you know, the Iowans chose, this is how they want a caucus, the Democrats got themselves into this mess. This is irony. This is, you can't make a story like this up. It's sort of like, remember when Obamacare rolled out.
There is irony here, though. You know, and you know what the irony is? Is that these candidates, all the steam went out of their, whatever, and it's opening the way for people like Bloomberg to sail through. They all crashed and burned out there.
I don't think there's a shot in hell Bloomberg gets.
I don't think so either.
What happens in Iowa?
But
stays in Iowa.
Well, no, I think it may very well be forgettable because media shape a narrative. They're not wholly responsible for the narrative, but they shape a narrative. And the candidate that emerges as the nominee, if that's Buttigieg, which I doubt, and I hope it's not Buttigieg, however you say his name, Mayor Pete. Right.
Petey.
It's that Democrats will rally for the most part to the nominee, and whatever happened in Iowa is not going to be the centerpiece. to the story that media shape. It won't even be a footnote, except for those historians that choose to write the story.
In all due respect, Mr. Mortician.
I'm not the mortician. I'm the eulogist.
The eulogist.
Just-
Okay, wait, yeah, but you can combine the two and you save money.
And the mortician.
Larry, if he combines the two, you're not speaking. Now go on.
There might be a conflict of interest to be the mortician and the
I
eulogist.
am not bathing your naked corpse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Larry.
Go on.
No, but I mean, what I'm basically saying is that the whole thing is so screwed up now that someone else is likely to emerge, I think, in the early states here.
I don't think any. I don't disagree. You know what? All I could say is today nobody knows.
But I also wanted to say this
Right.
to Lewis, who's a wise sage generally. The Democrats will not rally around whoever wins the primaries. It's going to be like the White Russians and the Red Russians, or was it the Black Russians?
I don't see color.
Whatever. But they're gonna go after each other. I mean, they hate each other. These different factions.
The Red Russians.
I don't know.
There were the whites. And then
Can you
there were the
imagine? Can
Bolsheviks.
you imagine the
Two
Muslims,
The Mensheviks.
the Muslims and the feminists,
No, I mean, like,
and the
yeah.
gays liking each other? I mean, forget it. That's not going to happen.
No, he's actually right about this. I will continually say it. I don't see the person in the Democrat Party that's the Mike Pence of the party that's going to say Republicans come home. They didn't come home in the last election. But again, it's 9 months out. We don't know. I mean, who could have foreseen last night? They had 4 years to practice this.
Well, not only that-
No, but think about it. They had 4 years last night to practice for this upcoming election.
Look, I love the president, okay, because he says what he thinks, okay. I mean, there's some things that I don't like that I've told you about who he associates with. I hope he gets better people around him in the future. But the fact is that this president is prone to make some mistakes. And ironically, today, Susan Collins, who I generally don't like, said something that was true, I thought. Senator from Maine. She says, I'm not voting to impeach. It doesn't rise to the level of impeachment. But what he did was improper and stupid with regard to the Ukraine. At least was stupid, okay? So he's prone to do stupid things. And I think in the next 9 months, he'll do a number of stupid things. So we don't know what's going to happen ultimately.
No.
All presidents do stupid things. The question is, are all the things they do impeachable, or, for that matter, should the opposition party pursue impeachment because
But we're not
they
talking
deem
about that.
these
We're
things
talking
stupid
about
rather than illegal?
We're talking about the 20% in the middle, the independents who are going to decide this
who the
election.
media could potentially drill. But here, you know,
Yeah.
I just want to say this is where I disagree with you on the Susan Collins thing. No offense.
I'm not a fan of
no,
hers.
no, or the Mitt Romney thing, or any of these people. And let me the audacity of these people, the audacity of these Republican senators to come out and say, for impeachable, high crimes and misdemeanors, not did he do something wrong, or I wanted a witness so I could go to my voting base and say, look, I got a witness in Maine. High crimes, misdemeanors, he did nothing. Comparatively to Iran-Contra, comparatively to Benghazi, the
But
Bush administration.
That's not the point I'm making.
I'm just saying.
The point is that he should have taken Biden out legally. He should have sicked the Justice Department on him. He should still do that,
Yes.
which he won't do, but because nobody's going to do it. But the way he did it was stupid.
In hindsight,
Well, I'll tell you this:
Yeah.
Susan Collins is a much better politician than Mitt Romney.
anybody is better politician than Mitt Romney.
She voted to acquit Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
She's going to vote to acquit President Trump.
And so is Murkowski.
But she also voted for Judge Kavanaugh, and she telegraphed her positions much more ably in a state where she may very well lose when she runs for re-election than someone like Mitt Romney. She's just a better politician, though for whatever reason, he's viewed, maybe perhaps because of his disposition and his religion, as more conservative than Susan Collins. And I haven't compared the two voting records, but politician to politician, she's the better one.
Listen, I had a lot of respect for her with the Kavanaugh thing. You're right; she did a great job with that. Murkowski a little different, but although I was very impressed with her, her coming out. And there's only one that hasn't said who he's gonna, and that's Mitt Romney. But he's such a good politician that he's had two different states to win an election.
Right.
Yeah, Romney's not going to vote to impeach. He's not going to do
He
it.
would be.
No, it's suicide.
Yeah, he would be having.
He won't do it.
We would be having eulogies.
Political suicide.
by Mr. Fine over here. But that's neither.
But
here
he'll
nor
get
there.
up and he'll say something outrageous.
I'm just so tired of this thing about, and it's no offense to you, Larry, because I respect your opinion greatly. I don't care about what the president says. I don't care about the thoughts. You know what?
I don't either.
But I'm saying, worst case scenario, he has people. The jobs of people around him are to protect the president. That's the job, and he's hired some very awful people for his protection. So if he was screaming one day around the White House, I want to investigate Biden, they didn't investigate Biden. I don't understand for the life of me what he's on trial for. Nothing happened. You can't impeach on thought.
We know that.
If you can, no, we don't know that, because that's what this is. It's been an impeachment.
Well, you can impeach on anything.
It's been an impeachment on thought.
Impeach on
in my
anything.
humble
You just
opinion.
get a majority vote in the House. We're talking
did
about
Ukraine
conviction.
get the money? Yes.
Yes.
Did they get it within the specified time frame as allotted by Congress? Yes. Does a president have a constitutional right to conduct foreign policy as he sees fit within the parameters of, say, war and peace? And in this case, the Democrats in Congress would have us believe that the peace in Central Europe and the peace between Europe and Russia hinges on what the president of the United States does vis-a-vis Ukraine. Well, he did what Congress, a Democratic House, and a Republican-controlled Senate mandated him to do. The money was released.
He did not, and he did nothing
we know,
wrong.
we
Now,
know all
saying
that.
that the president
But-
withheld.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm
a
saying is, the
photo op
only
of
reason I brought
president
that
of
up was
Ukraine
because
is ridiculous.
The only reason I brought that up was because of the Susan Collins, these statements they're saying. I get it; they're using it as
I'm
cover.
just saying is, look, if you want to take Biden out, there are other ways to do it. I mean,
But he didn't
Look,
take Biden out.
no, and that's
Yeah.
the problem. He didn't.
It's like, let's say you were his chief
That's the
counsel,
problem.
right? But I'm saying, let's say Larry Klayman.
He got all.
You served.
He got
Yeah.
all this aggravation and didn't even accomplish the
But
purpose.
that's because
this feeds into the narrative. The media create a narrative, and I don't mean in a monolithic way, the media, but media create a narrative. Biden's the front runner. Well, if he's the front runner, then he's the chief challenger to Donald Trump's reelection prospects. Then we have to, and this is a hypothetical, take him out. What should we do then? Well, I have a call scheduled with the president of Ukraine. How about you start from a false presumption that Biden is
Well, you know what?
the
I'm not
leading
even
candidate
advocating
and the
taking him.
presumptive
Hold on.
nominee.
I'm not even advocating taking him out because he's the candidate against Trump. I'm advocating taking out somebody like that because he's a total sleazeball and deserves to be in prison.
Right, but here's the problem, Larry. You're a trustworthy guy. You're a great lawyer. Obviously, I trust you with all my secret information.
I did win a case for you.
You did win a case for me, and thank you. So you're somebody that I know. If you're behind me, and I need to sound ideas or throw ideas, you're just
you
like
want
if
to
the-
be behind Larry because when the gunman comes in,
Well, no, because sometimes I fart. You see, so you don't want to be behind me.
But here's my point. Getting back to it it's this simply. I trust you to say what's on my mind. The president should
are
have.
you sure about that?
But the problem is the president has picked, like you said, has picked the wrong people. His worst crime is his sounding boards are the biggest leakers of all time.
I'll give you a good
That's
example.
His problem.
If he had had an attorney general that had balls, cojones, the attorney general would have prosecuted Biden and his son, would have investigated. But they don't do that, and we know they don't do that. And this guy, Bill Barr, is no different than Jeff Sessions. Maybe a few more IQ points, but other than that, the same result: zero, nothing.
Anyways, let's wrap it up. Who do you think is? Do you think it matters who, Lewis? Do you think it matters who wins Iowa?
Depends.
That's what Joe Biden wears, but
Sometimes
depends on what.
depends on who wins.
Right, and we're not going to know. What about you?
It doesn't matter who wins, but it matters who loses. And Biden was humiliated.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think he's done.
I don't disagree with that, but I also want to continue talking about the Trump thing. So I want to continue that on next week's audio podcast because I think it is a very interesting discussion. It's funny. I didn't think Lewis and I would side on this as much, and you be the sort of the outsider on this one. But you just never know, and that's what makes it fun.
You never know.
You just never know. And I want to thank the American Greatness for hosting us. Larry, tell us very quickly about Freedom Watch.
Go to freedomwatchusa.org, join our Justice League, Get up off the couch, put the popcorn down, and get to work. We need to save our country.
And you can find us on Twitter at LK, the number 4, every, the number 1. You could actually get our podcasts directly from American Greatness. I want to thank everybody for listening. Louis, any final parting thoughts?
No.
And with that, everybody, thank you for listening to this audio special of LK for Everyone.
Thank you.